We start with an alcoholic Father Christmas cosplayer getting merry at a bar, as the old barmaid totally bollocks him for getting pissed between shifts, moaning about ungrateful materialistic kids, and potentially about to go drink drive his sleigh. And before he can say, "Don't tell me how to do my job, lady," she follows him up to the roof and just can't believe he turns out to be the bona fide Santa Claus fella currently making like XRP and soaring up to the fucking moon and shit. I mean, flying off to break into people's homes and stuff.
Wow.
Anyway, after the opening title card, rich kid Jason takes his estranged interracial family, including ex-wife Linda and Home Alone superfan daughter Trish, over to his uber rich mum's gaff for Crimbo, whilst a suspiciously dodgy mansion staff set up for tonight's big party. Later that evening, we meet the main characters who all seem to hate each other's guts, including Jason's narcissist sister Alva and her TikToker son Bertrude, and also her arrogant film star toy boy Morgan Lightstone, who's clearly based on Mark Wahlberg because reasons.
All I'm saying is if I was on one of those planes, 9/11 would have ended with a bunch of terrorists skydiving over Connecticut without their parachutes.
Anyway, cold as ice matriarch Granny Gertrude then arrives, slightly drunk and late to her own party. And this one seems to be based on Nancy Pelosi, given she seems to be an old-ass capitalist crony who's obsessed with booze. Meanwhile, the clinically depressed bona fide Santa Claus bloke is busy breaking into people's houses and eating all their snacks, whilst also taking a leaf out of my cat's book and leaving little deposits under the tree. Anyway, the family tried to press an increasingly uncomfortable Jason about some sort of secret he's clearly keeping, but he immediately leaves to go put Trish to bed, given she's super sad that she ain't got anything in her stocking this year, and also forgot to tell Santa what she wants. So he quickly just shoves a random walkie-talkie he found in her face and tells her to shut up about it already. After trampling in reindeer shit and then walking it into people's giant fuck-off mansions when he apparates from their fancy fireplace like some sort of ghosty ghoulie spook, Santa takes another quick break in the massage chair, whilst a suspiciously dodgy staff and security team smack up the other guards and soon take over the gaff. And whilst Jason weirdly asks his ex if she wants to join him in a new life abroad, given he's suspiciously due to come into some money soon, even more poor waiters get shot up, and promptly triggering a full-on target lockdown of the family in a local panic room, only for the personal bodyguards to be met by John Leguizamo. And before they can say, "Ain't you that Super Mario bro who also ate live maggots on a pizza for a stupid god-awful Spawn flick back in the day?" he just says his name's Mr. Scrooge, and promptly sends a useless guards to Valhalla whilst taking the family hostage. After Santa's reindeer hear gunfire and get the heck out of Dodge like a right bunch of cucks, poor old St. Nick finds himself stuck in the middle of a home invasion, and can't quite tap enough powder out of his nose to get back up the chimney for love nor money. And it's not long before he's spotted cowering behind a small tree by a baddie. And before he can say, "You wouldn't hit a fat old man married to Lily Allen, would you?" turns out he totally would hit a fat old man married to Lily Allen. So he's forced to get his hands dirty and smack a bitch up, and also do a hate crime by defenestrating an Asian bloke and accidentally impaling him to death.
That's what you get. That's what you fucking get, bitch.
Scrooge then does a hate crime of his own and misogynistically decks an old granny, and promptly demands a fuck ton of money what she's got locked up in her vault, or else he'll set them all down and make them watch Ice Age 2 The Meltdown all bleeding night.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
But she just says, "Screw you, pal, because my private extraction team's on the way, so you're totally boned, mate." But unfortunately, turns out he already knows all about her backup plans because reasons, and that she's a crooked capitalist who nicked $300 in government money, what her firm was meant to give to the Middle East, but instead just stashed it in her personal vault. On second thought, maybe she's in fact based on Hillary Clinton. Anyway, after finding the Asian dude's body, the baddies start the hunt for whoever's out here doing all these bad things and totally ruining Christmas for everyone, while Santa himself goes berserk when another merc stabs up a 4K copy of Die Hard on Blu-ray, and so promptly stabs him in the eye with a tree topper, and bringing a whole new meaning to having stars in your eyes. Meanwhile, a panicked Trish tries to calm herself down and uses her walkie-talkie to tell Father Christmas what she wants this year, and just can't believe it when the OG himself picks up and says she's on the nice list and shit. So, after telling her not to worry because Big Red's on his way to stuff a lump of coal up them naughty boys' arses, Scrooge and co spot him on the CCTV and totally bollock him for running around ruining their meticulously planned plans, and for using festive ornaments for violent, inappropriate purposes. Given the hostages don't know what the heck Scroogey boy's banging on about, unironically talking about Father Christmas visiting their house on Christmas Eve, he cracks Jason's finger in a nutcracker and then threatens to flatten his balls. Just like my wife last year, when I came back from the pub in the early hours of Christmas Eve and woke up to find I'd whittled in the bottom drawer of the freezer, and then had to enjoy yellow ice cubes with our morning Bucks fizz. Anyway, little Trish intervenes, but just gets told by her dad that the magical fat bloke whose voice she hears yet never sees, and supposedly brings every kid in the world presents all in one night, ain't actually even real, bro. And so naturally, she just runs off in a riot strop. Elsewhere, a tatted up Santa takes a moment to patch himself up with ribbon and wrapping paper, and also to have a quick flashback to when he was some sort of bloodthirsty badass Viking fella on a battlefield, before being brought back to reality by Trish saying she's totally going to booby trap the attic like that Macaulay Culkin fella what got left home alone that one time, and then who went on to meet the future President of the United States in the sequel.
It was beautiful. It was just a perfect conversation.
And he reassures her that he's indeed real, and has even got the mince pie induced man boobs to prove it.
Nice.
Anyway, after being made to open some presents early, given this is likely their last night on Earth, and also because the hack script writers have to pad out the runtime, Gertrude is made to open Jason's secret gift, what he desperately wanted to give her tomorrow morning when he was long gone, given the note alongside the whiskey seems to be surprisingly hurtful and highly controversial. But luckily, she keeps the mysterious contents of said message to herself for now, while Santa is still banging on about his barbaric backstory back when he was a wrong'un, and about how he misses his favourite hammer called Skullcrusher, and also his wife, Mrs. Claus. But Trish just tells him to shut up, revelling in nostalgia for extreme violence and describing bloody murder to a prepubescent child on Christmas, and instead just believe in himself already. Elsewhere, Mr. Scrooge says Gertrude's lethal extraction team will be here within 30 minutes, so they need to get their skates on, son. While Santa gets caught trying to strangle a small lady henchman, but just gets blown up and totally captured for his troubles, as the baddies then hilariously go through his magical bag full of bottomless presents, and still somehow don't believe he's the real-life magical Saint Nick of mythological legend. No! Anyway, Scrooge takes a moment to moan about how much he hates the festive period, given he had a shitty childhood and accidentally killed an innocent granddad on Christmas or some shit, before living up to his name and totally burning Santa's sack of goodies, and thereby dooming a bunch of kids, and presumably a handful of 40-year-old immature man-children who desperately wanted the new Star Wars Lego set, to a very empty and disappointing Crimbo morning this year. So, a pissed off Santa tells them all that he knows their names and what they all wanted when they wrote to him as kids. And worse, they've all been on the naughty list for years, given their chosen profession. And just before Scrooge pops a paunchy fella for doing a data breach and disclosing sensitive personal information given to him in strict confidence years ago, Trish distracts them all with phony fakey styrofoam snow, thereby enabling Santa to break his binds and literally tap out up the chimney. Cause much like my cousin who OD'd in the Weatherspoons box last year, I guess he finally found enough nose powder to get him high. LOL! Once the extraction squad arrive and hilariously shoot up deluded action star Morgan Lightstone after he escaped and just left them all to get deadied, they spot fucking Santa Claus on the roof and light his arse up, while Scrooge and squad leader Commander Thorpe finally open the vault and find it emptier than Kamala Harris's campaign wallet. Because turns out Jason stole it a few nights ago himself to stick it to his cold ass capitalist mum, and in order to start a new life with his ex-wife and kiddie.
No way!
Meanwhile, Trish once again tells a demoralised Santa Claus to pull himself together and believe in himself already, which he totally does, and soon finds a hammer capable of crushing skulls manifested right in front of him.
Now that's what I'm talking about!
And after taking a few swings at the Invisible Man to warm up and get back into the literal swing of things, he unleashes his old inner barbarian and totally slaughters the poor fuckers, before stopping to watch one goon self-implode on a grenade for shits and giggles. Meanwhile, the other two henchmen are getting a taste of what it's like to be Harry and Marv from Home Alone, but this time IRL, after they fall into all sorts of booby traps going after the frizzy yet resourceful chocolatey Sprog. And after taking more balls to the face and flange than that recent OnlyFans skank, who apparently shagged 101 blokes in 14 hours, the female merc corners a poor girl in the attic. And it looks like it's curtains for the dodgy child actor, who was also in that Star Wars show earlier this year with the lesbian space witch mums. until Santa Claus turns up due to the magical power of lazy editing and totally saves the day. Huzzah! And she just can't believe she's finally meeting her hero in the flesh, and also can't wait to tell her dad that that's yet another thing conspiracy theorists were right about all along.
I fucking knew it!
Now taking the money-hungry baddies over to where he stashed the cash, Jason gets whacked and then get told that they're of no more use to Mr. Scrooge and co now, and so orders his men to totally yeet them annoying scroats back in the living room hall. And before he can say, "Oh lord, please just fucking shoot all these annoying twats before anyone has a chance to stop you," the merc gets distracted by the narcissist sister and then pathetically finished off by two middle-aged women and a fucking TikToker. Santa then delivers them some Christmas gats and tells them to cover him, whilst he starts getting back to doing what he does best and getting his clobbering on, and also murky mercs with small snowballs. Jason then wakes up and snogs the face off of his ebony bae, after she was sort of kind of actually impressed that he finally manned up for once and stood up to his mummy by nicking her own stash of Nick cash, while Santa hilariously takes out the rest of the goons in increasingly entertaining ways, before confronting that Christmassy killjoy in a small shed. And Scrooge just can't believe he was indeed the real Father Christmas all along, because he didn't recognise him without his half-moon spectacles or that needy Will Ferrell fella following him about like a bad smell, and just proceeds in finally trying to end him for good. Because after all,
Christmas dies tonight.
and after blowing him up and also penetrating his ass with an ice pick but not in a fun way, it looks like it's finally curtains for the #1 home invader what never gets caught or punished every year and surely must be on his own friggin' naughty list by now. But luckily, Santa summons one last ounce of belief and sucks him up with him through the chimney, promptly crushing the callous criminal into cubes and then laughing about it all like a goddamn maniac. So naturally, karma finally gets him when Thought pops a bunch of slugs into him and totally cancels Christmas this year. But also luckily, Gertrude is on hand to return the favour, as the gang all then unite to soppily bring that fat fella back to life with the sheer power of belief in some Christmas cheer and all that other gay shit. And we end with the resurrected Santa Claus saying thanks and goodbye to the family, before totally bollocking his cowardly reindeer who've only now come back when the danger's all done and everything's a-okay. But conveniently, Mrs. C has left a note in the back along with a replacement sack of goodies for the kiddies. So now he don't have any excuse to take the rest of the night off and has to get straight back to business, delivering cheap tat to ungrateful sprogs all over the fucking world and who barely even believe in him. Liberties! And that's it. That's the movie. Though my favourite part was when a drunk driving Santa Claus totally chundered on that old lady's head at the start. Because I guess that's what you get when you say you want something sick for Christmas this year. But anyway, that's the plot and that's your lot. Consider ringing that bell thing so you don't miss any future recaps. Tell me if you like this flick in the comments if you have time, and I'll smack up kids and grannies with you in the next one.